Jeff.
Oh, hi, Brent. Hey, what are you
We're
doing?
live.
We're
on the tube. On the tube. What's up, everybody?
How you doing?
Welcome to another episode of Babylon 5 for the very first time. Jeff and I are watching Babylon 5 for the very first time. Today, we are watching the penultimate episode of season 2. Jeff.
It's a pretty big deal.
We're almost there. We are almost there.
And I can't wait to be there. I mean, one, because like it's exciting, to see how they're going to end it and bring everything together and how the Great War is going to start. But also, I have really strong feelings about this episode, and we'll talk about that here shortly.
Sure, we will.
I am already fascinated and curious. We can dive in after this, but I want to know. I want to know what the community thinks, and I know they'll tell us, But like, is this a beloved episode that people really hold fondly?
I am going to directly address that in my thoughts in this episode. So with that, guys, what you're about to watch is Jeff and I recording a podcast. You guys get all the behind the scenes stuff. This is the pure unedited, how the cookie is baked, how the pie is alamoded.
It's baked. See how many more baked references you can get in here.
How the casserole is baked. How the lasagna is. Anyway.
How my unemployed cousin. It's not fair. I don't have an unemployed cousin, but it was still kind of funny. So I am not using the camera I've been using the last couple of weeks, but it's still set up over here. I was using it for another project, and it's given me a heat warning. So but I keep looking at it like I've learned to look over at it. So I'm gonna
gonna try to focus there.
Yeah, this will be fun.
I'm more just looking at you right now.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So like I set the camera up like right where your image is, and then I just look at you, and close enough is I think the answer. Anyway, we're getting ready to get into this. Lots of stuff. Hey. Happy April Fool's to everyone who is celebrating. I kind of feel like we had a little bit of an April Fool's joke played on us this week.
A little bit.
But anyway, Jeff, why don't we get into this episode? You guys like, subscribe, comment down below, all that sort of stuff that you know how to do. But Jeff and I are going to get into it.
You're going to do it. Go. Make sure you get your local recording going.
Oh, hey, yeah.
Yalla.
This is my first time.
You're new here, aren't you?
First time.
Welcome to Babylon 5 for the first time, not a Star Trek podcast. My name is Jeff Akin, and I'm watching Babylon 5 for the first time.
And I'm Brent Allen, and I'm also watching Babylon 5 for the very first time. Jeff and I are two veteran Star Trek podcasters watching Babylon 5, you guessed it, for the very first time. We are searching for Star Trek-like messages. Not Star Trek messages, Star Trek-esque like messages within this series. And then we're also just kind of saying, hey, how Babylon 5 is this series? Because Babylon 5 should be very Babylon 5.
You'd think, right? We're going to find out. Like Brent said, this is not a Star Trek podcast. I actually said that too. We say that a couple times here at the beginning because we want you to know it's not a Star Trek podcast.
We want you to know that we know.
Right?
This is not.
We're clear. We're very clear here. But we want to double down on being clear there. So we have the rule of 3, one of the many games that we play here on Babylon 5 for the first time. And what that means is each one of us gets up to no more than 3 references to Star Trek per episode. That's
it. 3. Uno, dos, tres. No substitutions, exchanges, or refund.
Hey, Brent, we've got a 5-star review.
Oh, yes.
This is from Apple Podcasts. No date for me. Oh, sorry, no date for me. Well, they're watching Babylon 5 and this podcast, so that's a pretty simple math equation. But no date for me says, as a big B5 fan, as well as a Star Trek fan, I'm enjoying your ride. There's so much ahead for you on this journey, and listening to your comments reminds me of how I had to be dragged into the show by a friend, and am eternally grateful for the gift he gave me. This was a show that received terrible marketing in the US, often placed at 4 a.m. on the network. I would set the VCR, yep, I'm that old, to record it, and I missed 30 minutes of one episode because the network randomly changed the time. I was up every morning super early to watch it after that point to make sure I never missed a moment. I hope you get to that same point when each show is a roller coaster of good stuff that you can't wait until you see the next episode.
Well, I tell you, each episode definitely is a roller coaster. It's up and it's down, and we definitely can't wait to see the next episode.
Definitely can't wait for the next up. Hey,
Right.
we've got another 5-star review.
Oh, yes.
Also from Apple Podcasts, I cannot pronounce this name. I don't think it's a real name is my guess, but it's ADM Varn. And isn't Varn the dude who was in Epsilon 3 the first time?
Adam,
Isn't that his name?
we'll call him. I was thinking Vern, like remember Ernest P. Worrell? Know what I mean, Vern?
I do.
That's what I was thinking, but sure, maybe it was Varn down there.
Well, Adam Varn Adam Varn says, experience Babylon 5 through the eyes of two Star Trek podcasters who bring forth new insights and hilarious commentary as they journey through the series from some initial skepticism to appreciation. They stick to the no spoilers theme, which makes this a true first-time experience. If you like B5, then this is the chance to join them and revisit the series yourself. If you're a hardcore fan, you'll find new things that you may have missed the first time as they focus deeply on the little things that tease out the B5 universe.
Well, thank you to both of our reviewers this week. Thank you so much for your review. I will tell you, it is more than just a theme. No spoilers is a way of life for Jeff and I, and we really guard it closely. Like there are times where I have to shut off comments. I have deleted comments off of our pages before, just because like you get 2 or 3 words in and you see where it's going. And so if you've ever noticed one of your comments have disappeared, folks, just know that that's just Jeff and I being
know that you spoiled it, right? And this is the no spoiler nation for life, right? It's
wow. You just did that.
Pulling out the NWO, a little wolf pack for you.
But Jeff, I got a suggestion.
Yeah.
You know how like when people go to our YouTube page, because we have a YouTube page that actually is the show about the show, like it's the real show, right? Podcast is cool. You guys are awesome. Keep listening to the podcast, but the YouTube folks, you guys are awesome. But if you go to our YouTube page and you're not subscribed, it actually pops up like a commercial that we did, right? Like a little promo. I think we should re-record that with this review. Like this guy wrote a new ad read for us.
Really
like the way that comes out, right?
That's a good idea.
I have one every once in a while.
It's second season. It's time for another one. You're due. Those are all the reviews I had to share.
Hey, Jeff.
Hey, Brent.
I think we missed that last week.
Missed. There's our air quotes if you're listening. Missed that last
Jeff
week.
deleted it from the notes and I put it back in. Hey, Jeff, along with our game that we play here, the Rule of 3, there is another game we play when we get towards the end of the episode and we take a look at what next week's episode title is, and we try to make a guess as far as what's going to happen in that based on title alone and just pure intuition. Never having seen it before, we don't read little show blurbs that they put on Netflix or HBO Max. We don't try not to look at thumbnails, any of that kind of stuff. It's just a pure guess as far as what next week was going to be about. This is the point of the show where we look back on last week and we see just how right or wrong we were about this week. So, Jeff, what did you say Comes the Inquisitor was going to be about?
So I'm so wanting to double down on what I said it was. I mean, it had nothing to do with this episode. But Brent, people have been really upset. I mean, all the way back to Revelations, people have been upset by my my predictions, so much so that I think I'm hitting a nerve. My prediction,
their response is confirmation as a spoiler esque thing to do.
That's how I'm playing it. So Anna, who is Sheridan's deceased wife, is not so deceased, and she was going to show up as an Inquisitor to inquisit. What do you want? We're going to get a modernized Anna. That did not happen. We did get some questions, but it was not what do you want. What about you? What did you guess this one was going to be about?
Well, I believe that I said that the Inquisitor was going to be a Centauri who is coming to effectively try to take over. And that's not what happened. But what I did get right was Jakar, living in exile on the station, is going to start mounting a defense. And he's going to start making a few moves. And that's 100% right. That's it. Now, it was very much a B plot of this episode, but I nailed it and got that one right.
Maybe should have been the A plot. You do definitely get some partial credit there.
I'll take every single bit of it. But Jeff, while those were our predictions, nope. You got to do the other thing first. Sorry.
All right. I got to remember what I said because I was setting myself up to go in. What did I say? Partial credit.
Sorry.
Okay. That's
I'm
all right.
so sorry. Yeah, you said I'll get partial credit.
Yeah. But when it comes to Babylon 5 for the first time, there is no partial credit when you decide to participate in our season 2 wrap-up episode in the incredible giveaway that we're doing. Brent, you're going to show them what we're giving away. To enter into this, you go to Apple Podcasts, you go to Podchaser, you go to Good Pods, you leave us a review, you screenshot that review. You send it to us via email, babylon5first@gmail.com, the number 5, the word first @gmail.com, or on our Twitter @babylon1st, and you're entered into the drawing. If you entered before, if you left a review before, you're also entered in. Full credit. And look at this bad boy. Tell them about it, Brent.
Well, Drew, you're going to take home your very own Captain John Sheridan Earth uniform Babylon 5 Space Station vintage action figure, still in box, from the 1997 toy line. That's right, folks. And all of this can be yours if the review is right.
Oh, yeah. The review is right. Come on down.
Yes. And listen, just I can only show this to the folks at YouTube. So if you're only listening to the podcast, once again, go find our YouTube channel. Man, I've plugged YouTube a lot. Go check it out. It's in there.
I wonder, so this is from 1997?
That's what it says on the box, yeah.
So I think that's season 4. I wonder if there's a spoiler, like somewhere in season 3, Babylon 5 is going to shrink to the size of my pinky. Or at least to the size of John Sheridan's leg. That's about the size of that thing in there.
Uh-huh. But he's pointing. John Sheridan is pointing like he's got a finger. I want to see if I can get this in close on the camera. So if you see his little finger right there, Jeff,
that's intense. He's
pointing. And I remember when I first got this, lots of people were talking about the pointing. It's just Sheridan pointing. Like, why is he pointing?
Well, what it is, that's his move. Anytime something comes down that he doesn't want to do, he points to Ivanova and says, "You get this one." There's Ivanova finger.
There you go. I like it.
Okay, now you can go to that part in the notes that you jumped ahead to.
Oh, okay. Well, Jeff, now that we have covered our season 1 wrap up, Well, Jeff, now that we have covered our season 2 wrap up giveaway, it is time to begin to wrap up season 2. We got another episode to go after this one. However, let's talk about this episode for the folks at home who may not have seen this episode, or just maybe it's been a while since they've seen this episode. Why don't you let us know What happened in this episode?
Ambassador Kosh calls up Delenn, says he needs to be sure that she's up to snuff. So he's calling in an Inquisitor. And you know what they say? No one expects the Vorlon Inquisition. Except Delenn, Sheridan, the customs dude. Yeah, actually, I guess everybody pretty much expects this guy. Well, he rolls up in a Vorlon transport, and it's a human. Old school suit, fancy cane, strong Doctor Who vibes here, at least to me. Says his name is Sebastian, and he's from Earth. Earth 1888. He even drops a super specific London street address. But nope, it's not Sherlock Holmes' address. But if you're a fan of Christopher Plummer films, keep Murder by Decree in mind. Sheridan sets him up in some kind of cargo hold looking place with super focused spotlights. Just think gray council chambers, but no triangles. And then so much of this episode is just Sebastian and Delenn, with Sebastian trying to get a satisfactory answer to one single question. Who are you? But here's the thing. When she gives an unsatisfactory answer, which is all the answers, she gets shocked by these fancy manacles that Sebastian brought along. It's a very, very Gom Jabbar pain box kind of stuff going on in here. Now, while this is going on, we visit Citizen Jakar. Dude has a serious vision and a strong work ethic. He's gone full street preacher and is warning everyone about the warmonger Centauri. He meets with the new version of Nagrath, Mr. Chase, to buy weapons. You see, the Kari may have surrendered to the Centauri, but Jakar didn't, and he's mounting a resistance effort. But Garibaldi gets wise to this, and he does really quickly. He meets up with Jakar, they have a tense but productive back and forth, and Garibaldi hooks him up with a dude that runs weapons from a different transfer station, keeping the weapons off Babylon 5, but still supporting the Narn effort. But the Narns aren't sure that Jakar can come through for them, so he puts his leadership on the line, promising to get them in touch with their families on the creatively named Homeworld. He asks Sheridan for help, and he agrees, sending the Rangers on their first live mission, and they rock it. Jakar shares the family's messages, and they agree to follow his lead. Well, the Inquisition is not going well. Delenn is getting rocked, and Sebastian seems to really be enjoying it. Lanier tries to help, so Sheridan busts in to help her. Oh, not a good move. We get flashbacks to Sinclair hanging from the triangle, and now Sebastian has two people to inquisit. Putting Sheridan, John, in danger lights the fire under Delenn that this whole thing was meant to spark. She offers to sacrifice herself to save him. With that, Sebastian declares the Inquisition a success, telling them they are the right people in the right place at the right time. As he leaves, Sheridan exposes a massive flaw in the station's computers, apparently giving a very specific date, a very specific street address, and just one name makes it nearly impossible to pull up any historical records. I guess the first and last name fields are required? Wow. They must have bought some hobby access developer to put this thing together. But Ivanova comes through, as she will. Somehow, through a sheer force of will and determination, she's able to learn about the person who lived at that address at that time. Turns out Sebastian was not a very cool dude back in the day. But that happens to be exactly what the Vorlon were looking for. Yeah, the Vorlon have been involved in Earth stuff since at least the 19th century. They picked him up shortly after his, 5th, maybe his 11th murder, depending on which historical account you believe, leaving Earth with a forever mystery. A mystery that would later be solved in the 23rd century by a trio of brilliant problem solvers that warp through the galaxy as they uncover the identity of Jack the Ripper. So Brent, what were your thoughts on Comes the Inquisitor?
You know what, Jeff? I think this is Babylon 5's duet.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
I really do. And what I'll explain by that is, so Duet is an episode towards the end of the first season of Deep Space Nine. It is generally held in really high regard. It is two actors at the top of their game, two people in a room talking. That's what the episode is. And they're going toe to toe, mano a mano. And it's honestly probably one of the worst over actors of 90s Trek going up against the judge from Ghostbusters 2. Right? And it's truly a phenomenal episode, and it's generally held in super high regard. I'm going through that episode with my first time watcher over on Beam Me Up, and he gets to it and he's like, eh. And you realize it's one of those episodes that really, you have to see it multiple times to begin to appreciate it and to begin to really, and I'm not just talking about once or twice in preparation for a podcast. I mean, many times over the course of the whole show. You have to know where the characters are going to be able to see them through those eyes in that moment, because I dare say knowing where Kira Nerys goes and the full arc of her character colors that conversation versus what you had in 19 episodes prior to that particular one. So my suspicion is, while I'm going to sit here with this episode and just kind of go, I didn't hate it. I really didn't. I didn't hate it. I can't say that I loved it. If I were doing, I am doing the ranking later on. Okay. Spoiler alert. It's going to be in the middle of the pack for me. Okay. My guess is this is an episode that the fandom generally truly loves, and they adore the acting between Mira Furlan and Sebastian, and then with Bruce Boxleitner coming in to the end, there's just something about this episode that everybody just absolutely adores and loves. I guess that's my prediction. I don't know, but overall, I thought it was a very okay episode. To be an episode that's going to come off of what last week felt like a season finale, going into what next week is a season finale. Also like the other thought that I had was, this is a bottle show. Like, they blew a whole bunch of money and they just needed a cheap episode, and that's, I think, maybe a little bit of where this episode comes from. I have some questions about it, and we'll get into that here in just a few moments. But overall, I didn't hate it. I thought it was fine. I wouldn't change the channel watching it again later, but it's just a weird placement between these two episodes. Jeff, how about you?
That placement was a real problem for me. I used to be a baker a long time ago. In the pre-show that you can catch on YouTube, Brent was really going down a path of things that were baked. And it reminded me how, it was stellar,
actually.
It was really, you did a great job. But that's what I used to do for a job. I was a baker, and my boss,
Jeff, leadership guru, pro wrestling dude, podcasting extraordinaire, motivational speaker, and a baker.
Yeah, and a professional musician. The list goes on. That's what it takes to be able to do all these things, is you have to have a very diverse life experience.
All right, go ahead, man.
I loved baking. It's a science, right? But there's also an art to it. But my boss gave me, so if you know anything about sourdough bread, sourdough is, it's one of my favorites. You get a nice, if you do it right, you get it crispy on the outside.
With, but it's really good, yeah.
Well, it's easy to work with if you use a powder, like most people do, but if you have a levain and you actually you cultivate it and you grow it and take care for it, it's a lot of work. It's hard and it's so good. And my boss gave me a levain that he had received from his master baker that he worked under. It was like 300-400 years old, like this ancient thing that had been kept alive for generations. It was a sourdough starter bit
that was 300-400 years old.
Yeah, and has been passed
Holy
on, passed
cow.
on, passed on, and it was delicious. It was so great. It had that tart that hits you if you're watching on YouTube. You can like right here in the back, like where your jaw comes together, and it kind of tingles in there. Oh, so good. But I was like 21 years old. Like I was a baby essentially, and so I'd make this bread at home, and it was so good. And then like I would get garbage, right? I'd go buy Kraft American cheese or something like that and put it in the middle, or, you know, kind of melt it like a patty melt or a grilled cheese on there. That was this episode. I'm making a huge assumption that the season 2 finale is going to match what we saw last week. And we're going to have these beautiful, amazing slices of sourdough bread with Kraft American cheese in the middle. Like this wasn't an offensive episode, but okay. This was the recap I was going to do first. Okay, you ready? We'll sit back. This is going to add 20 minutes, but I think it's important. Delenn gets interrogated. Eventually, Sheridan does too, by a human that the Vorlon have used since 1888, confirming that they are the first ones, and then confirming that Sheridan and Delenn are the chosen one. And G'Kar becomes the leader of the Narn resistance cell. There you go. Like, that's the episode. That's everything that happened. But my big problem with this episode, more than anything, well, actually, my big problem is that Jack the Ripper drop was just ridiculous. It didn't have to happen. It served, to me, it was just like, look at this thing. But we'll talk about that. This is my real problem with it. It solves a problem that's not our problem. This is the problem with somebody like JMS writing this show. He has done so much deep world building. He knows everything that has ever happened in this universe. And so in his world that he's built 1,000 years ago, 10,000 years ago, they didn't destroy the shadows because whoever was supposed to be the chosen one wasn't. Like they were someone driven by ego. They were someone that wanted to be the star. And then when the moment came, it all fell apart. And they still won, but they weren't able to destroy them. So the Vorlons, being the last first ones that are actively here, have created this process to go and confirm that who the chosen one is the chosen one. Cool. Awesome. None of that's our problem. This solved a thing that's in JMS's head. Like you could have just told me, hey, they're the chosen one. And I would have been like, cool, I'm down. All right. But instead we got this. I will say, you mentioned you gave a little spoiler on where you're going to rank this a little bit. I am very eager to get to the deltas and the Star Trek-y message of this one.
Well, let's not delay that. Let's just discuss the episode and then get into it. Let's start with the B plot. Just get this whole piece out of the way because I don't think it's going to take us very long. G'Kar mounting a defense. We saw it coming.
Mm-hmm.
They questioned his leadership. He went and got a letter from home.
Yeah.
Called in some favors. I did like, though, actually, my favorite part of that whole subplot was the fact that Sheridan sent the Rangers to go get it. Like he didn't call it a favor. He didn't whatever. Like, and so I want that story. I need a side story of the adventures of the Rangers. Like, I hope this is like the Babylon 5 comic book or something.
So yeah, somebody a while ago actually emailed us. I think he emailed her on somewhere, but they said that a lot of people consider the comics and some of the novels as canon. And they kind of roll in. They're like, hey, you guys should read these as part of this. And I was like, yeah, we'll catch this on the back end. We're just watching the show. But I would bet a lot of credits that there's a little series about this mission. Totally.
I would hope so. I would absolutely hope so. But not just this mission,
they
but
did
all the missions.
They did it in 24 hours, right? Like they got to a world they shouldn't be able to get to, went and found the people, recorded a message, and got back in 24 hours.
Right.
Wild.
Right. And you know, I want to know, are we ever really going to get to know who the Rangers are? Like, so we have Kefir.
He's not.
Are we going to? No, but are we going to get like another new cast member? Like, you know, the studio is going to force another hot guy onto the show, or maybe it's a hot girl. That'd be cool. Oh God, that just sounds really horrible.
That sounded terrible.
I don't mean it like that. That's honestly not what I meant. I just, you know,
Doesn't have to be a guy, is what you were saying.
Yes, that's what I mean. That's exactly what I mean. But maybe they force something like that on, and we get a character, and this is like the captain of the Rangers or something like that.
Yeah.
Like I'd be interested to find out in the course of due time. Please don't tell us, folks. It's just a question I have in my head, but I do want to know that. I'm more interested in that than I am the rest of the whole story, to be frank with you. I thought Jakar's threat to the guy who was selling him weapons, this is a Ivanova level threat.
Totally.
Right? Well, no, but we've seen Jakar do these kind of threats before too, haven't we? Like, wasn't he the one who's like, I'll grind your bones and make flutes out of them? Didn't Jakar say that?
Totally. Yeah. But this was great, right? It's like, even if they find you, they won't be able to recognize your remains.
Yeah. I was like, rest assured they might find your body, but it will never be identified. I was like, oh my God, that was great. All of that said, and I'm going to talk about it here, although this may cross over with the message portion, but I want to talk about it here just since we're doing it here. Jakar and Veer in the elevator. And when I first saw Veer in this episode, I thought he was up to something.
Really?
Or maybe he knew something. Like, because he's like standing on the promenade thing looking over, and he just has this look on his face. And it turns out it was exactly what I would really expect out of Veer. It's guilt and sympathy, empathy, knowing that what his people has done is just absolutely atrocious, right?
And he wants to do something. Like, that's the thing. Exactly.
Yeah, like his position and just what he actually can and can't do. He can't do anything about it, to be frank with you, And they get caught in the elevator, and it's just such a awkward moment. You can almost feel like Jakar just wants to rip his head off while he's in the middle of this thing, and Veer does a cool thing. He turns around and he says, I'm sorry. And I think we can have a conversation about what he really meant by that. But Jakar's response broke my heart.
Mm-hmm.
He cuts his hand and lets all the drops, and he goes, dead, 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 dead. Can anyone hear your apology? Then I can't forgive you. And I like two things. One, I'm not sure that what Veer meant was he is apologizing to you as much as I'm having empathy for your situation, because Veer didn't do it. Veer tried to stop it. Maybe he's apologizing for not doing more, but what could he have done? We tend to say, I'm sorry, not as an apology, but just to show empathy, right? I'm sorry this is happening to you.
Mm-hmm.
But when Jakar turns around and says, drip, 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 there's a conflicted moment in me. I 100% understand why Jakar feels that way. 100% get it. He is fully entitled to feel that way. However, bitterness and unforgiveness, I've often heard said, is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. And for Jakar's own sake, for his own heart, I really hope he can come to a spot where he is able to forgive at least Veer, and to not classify Veer because of his heritage, but by him as a person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That I 100% get why Jakar acts the way he does, and he's fully justified in it, but for his own sake, I really want him to be able to come through that.
And I think that he will. I think in the moment, right? It's probably been a week or so, maybe a few weeks since everything went down.
Yeah. It's
hot. It's fresh.
Yeah.
And I think it makes sense for him to come across that way. This is what I think is going to happen, though, this isn't a conspiracy theory thing. This is just me kind of like putting the story blocks in place. The message that Veer got, I believe, in that wasn't you're unforgivable. The message he got was, to hell with your sorry, do something, right? Like, sorries aren't doing anything. The people that are dead can't hear it, and they're not fixing anything. Veer's going to take that as a call to action.
Oh, I hope so. That'd be so cool.
And so what I think is going to happen is over this. Why not? Let's spin it big. I think over season 3, maybe the first half of season 3, Veer is going to start doing things behind the scenes that people don't know is him to kind of help the Narn out a little bit. Make sure a thing is in a certain place. Make sure a communique doesn't get to Londo's desk. Stuff like that, just to make sure it happens. Maybe in the second half, he becomes a little more active. But I think that Veer and G'Kar at some point will come face to face. It'll come clear that Veer's been trying to help, and Veer is going to be instrumental in the Narn winning their independence back from the Centauri. He's going to be a war hero for them.
You know, for a guy that for most of the first season and even a bit through the, well, not so much the second season, but really through that first season was a goofball.
He was a punchline.
He was comic relief, right? He was a punchline. To come to that spot, that's fantastic. I really hope that that's the case.
In that moment when he kind of stepped forward and then, you know, it was obviously going to say something to G'Kar, like that stretched out over a period of time, and it was uncomfortable and it was tense. Yeah. And in my head, I'm just like, what would I say? Like, how would you can't not say a thing to G'Kar. What would I say? And like almost at the same time he did, I'm like, all I can say is I'm sorry. Like that's all there is to say. And then he turned and he did it. And I was like, oh man, like Veer, we've been talking for a while about how he's arrived. He stood up to Londo. He stood up to Sheridan. In this episode, he stood up to the little sycophant trying to get stuff to Londo. And then he stood up to G'Kar, but not stood up against him, but like in a really humble and meek way that requires a tremendous amount of strength.
Right.
Veer is the man. Like he is. I think we've talked about how we thought Londo was going to be the hero at some point. I tell you what, man, to hell with that guy. Veer's going to be the hero.
Yeah, I said last week I'm off the Londo train and I'm still there, but I'm very much on the Veer train. Very much on the Veer train. I thought G'Kar brought up a really good point in this episode. Sure, the Centauri have taken over Narn, but how long before they turn their eye towards the rest of the galaxy? If they walk in unchallenged here, how long before they begin to try to stretch forth their arm beyond these borders?
So it was very fascinating to me that it was a human that argued with him. And I have a little poem. I have a little poem, actually. I'm not a poet. This isn't mine. But I have a short poem that I want to read that to me, like as this was happening, he was street preachering and then human dude was like, dude, that's not our layoff, whatever. This is what came to mind. First, they came for the socialists, and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me. That was I can't say his name, Niemöller, who was a German during World War II, and he gave a speech that was distilled into that poem that's at the Holocaust Memorial right now. That's what I felt through that whole piece. It's just like, he's like, dude, they came for us. It happened. They're coming for others. And human dude's like, not going to come for us. That's, spoiler alert, or flash forward, that's going to show up in my prediction for next week's episode, actually.
Fair enough. I tried to write a thought on this, and I really had to wordsmith it. And I came with a very eloquent way of saying it's a very human thing to do. The human did a very human thing to do, which is to not get involved, to stay out of it. That's not my fight. Which I think more often than because I don't want to get in trouble. I'm not trying to kick the hornet's nest. That ain't none of my business. I'm going to stay over here by me. I'm going to watch out for me and mine. And we're going to, sorry about your luck, but that's not us. I gotta take care of this over here, and it takes a lot to step out and speak up against, particularly when it comes at the potential cost of self. Right. So yeah, I look forward to possibly discussing that a little bit more later. Jeff, that's all I had on the whole G'Kar piece. Did you have anything else? Okay.
I didn't have anything else.
There really was
I did have one other piece. I thought it was cool, the conversation he had with Garibaldi and how like they both just knew what was up. And G'Kar was like, hey, look, we can sit and play games and we can go back and forth in this. You know that I know, and I know that you know. So can we just get to the part that matters? And Garibaldi's like, yeah, you're right. I don't ask a question unless I know the answer. And I thought this was interesting. But I always leave a little room for disappointment. And you didn't disappoint me.
Yeah.
Like for a guy, G'Kar, who like in episode 0 and episode 1, we thought like clearly was going to be the evil, conniving guy through this whole thing. Dude, he is an amazing person. He's just a great guy. But that's all I had in G'Kar.
All right. So the only other real story of anything that happened all had to do with Delenn and Sheridan and Sebastian, with a tiny cameo from Linear.
Yeah.
I have an overall question that may reframe this entire conversation. I'm trying to decide if I should ask it now or if I should wait till later.
Well, let me just say this.
Yeah.
Given your framing of this as duet, and that this through that lens becomes kind of, if not beloved, but appreciated by the community, the fandom out there. Everything I have to say about this scene, except for what I'm going to say about it in the closing thoughts, is about how terrible I think it is. So I don't know if that helps you to want to reframe.
Why don't you go ahead?
All right.
Go ahead and make your case for how terrible this is, and then I want to take it and maybe reframe it a little bit.
I am so disappointed in Delenn. She knew what was going on. Kosh told her, I'm going to send an Inquisitor to make sure that you have what it takes to do what's coming. She had an idea. You don't say Inquisitor and expect like a coffee and conversation. So dude starts laying into her, asking great questions, pushing, challenging her in ways that someone at her level should be ready to be challenged at. And what does she do? She deflects. She turns it on to him. She makes it about how bad and evil he is. You asked me who I am. Well, you like to give pain and you enjoy it too much. You're mean. You're a bully. Yeah, he's a bully. He's literally doing his job. He is clearly working to break you down, to get to who you really are. And I thought that she should have had some inkling that that's what was going on here. And even if she didn't, a strong person doesn't flip it about and make it about the other person. She starts talking about herself. You don't think I'm this? Well, you know, I am this, this, and this. You want to know who I am? I'm the person who had the guts to put myself in a cocoon and try she has a whole litany of great things she can say about herself, but instead she flipped it and made it about him. She didn't start hitting any of the right answers until Sheridan was on the line. And I guess that's cool. There's some stuff that's cool about that, right? The needs of the one and the many. But still, I guess I expected more from Delenn in this whole sequence. And Lanier. They all knew what was going on, and they just immediately go to, this guy's evil and is trying to kill me. No, he's challenging you hard. In fact, I think I've shared on this show, and if I haven't, I have many times on the Starfleet Leadership Academy, but I went through a leadership academy, and one of the instructors was a guy who was brought in for the sole purpose of breaking us down so we could determine who we were as leaders specifically. And I'll never forget, there's one person in the academy who said that, so he has challenged us to come up with our personal mission statement. And my personal mission statement, for anyone that cares, is to improve others' potential and help unleash it through my interactions with them. I want to help. I'm here to help people be better and reach what they're supposed to be. This lady, she says her mission was to be a good mom to her 2 sons, which is great, right? So dude literally says, oh, that's nice. So hold on, I'm getting a phone call. Yep, Oh yeah, I'll be sure to tell her, hey, that was the school. Your kids just got hit by a bus and they're dead. So now why are you here? And it was rough and he just drilled everybody like this. And what it drove her to is realizing she's not here to be, she's going to be a good mom to her sons, but Her mission is to teach and to impart lessons and wisdom. She just had it focused on there. Yeah, people got emotional. People cried. It was hard what he put us through.
Yeah.
But not a single person in that room, because we were all trying to be leaders. You know, like a former Satai or an ambassador or a chosen one might be. No one turned it around and made it about him. But Delenn did. I found that wildly disappointing.
I kind of passed over that whole piece. Like, I heard that. I'm tracking with you every bit of that. I just passed over that because I felt like that was small potatoes given everything else going on. I want to drill down on, you keep saying chosen one, and I know they talked about her as the chosen one. I have never gotten the feeling through almost 2 full seasons of Babylon 5 that there is a chosen one in this world, a chosen one that's going to bring balance to the force, or a chosen one that's going to lead the armies against the darkness and anything like that. And you mentioned earlier, which I thought was real interesting, that like JMS has this thought in his head that there have been chosen ones before, but it was more about them than it was about the mission or about other people. And that's why they failed to destroy them. They only,
to be clear, them. I made that up. I don't know if that's true. That's me diving into his world building.
But that's an interesting thought. But they definitely said chosen one. You are the chosen one. The read I had on that was more, Delenn was only chosen because she chose herself. She's like, oh, I'm going to just do this. Like, I like, she's only chosen because there's this prophecy that the two sides of the Minbari souls are going to have to unite. Right. And so why not me? Let's just go be the bridge. Like, not that there's some great plan of chosen one, although this episode had a ton of Christian biblical imagery, chosen by God, and lots of references that are pulled straight out of the Bible. But what do you think that Delenn is a quote unquote chosen one? Is there even a chosen one?
I think this is the first story. I think this is the first time we've heard the phrase chosen one.
Right.
But we've heard the phrase the one as far back as Babylon Squared. And we had this same conversation, if I remember right, because the last scene of that, right, was the arm of Delenn, because they didn't want to give away, I'm guessing, the transformation over to old Sinclair in the 2001 Space Odyssey spacesuit, and Zathras being the one. Oh, not the one. And so we had that whole thing of like, is it now Sinclair? Is it later Sinclair? Is it Delenn? Is it Delenn's hand? Is it some other Minbari?
Right.
It's never been clear. And I think like this took it to that next level, calling it chosen one. But the impression I got at the end of this was that the chosen one is a chosen two. It's Sheridan and Delenn.
Right.
At least that's what I got at the end of this. At first it was like, oh, Sheridan's here to be the catalyst for her, you know, her breaking down and seeing everything and exposing her true nature. But when he said, he's like, just know the both of you are the right people. And it's like, so the chosen one is both of them.
Yeah. Well, so I have a thought on that. I want to put a pin in that.
Okay.
Here's the other question that I have going into this. Why is Kosh now doubting Delenn? Why does he not trust her all of a sudden? Why does he have to be sure? After everything that's happened so far, why is it now is he going, I just want to be sure. And so I'm going to send this Inquisitor after you.
That's where I dug into the JMS's world building, where he'd be the only one who had any historical account of how the past battles with the shadows went. And he was probably like, nope, we had a contingency for this. And so far you're doing all the great things, but now we have to be sure.
So I have an answer that I think is going to hold true.
Okay.
I think this rings true. And I think that I hope this is where the fandom looks back on this episode and they go, yep, that's what was actually happening. And that's why we love it, because it was so cool. But I think it's actually contained within this episode.
Okay.
I'm going to give it to you though, in the form of a question though, Jeff.
Okay.
Little Socratic method for you here. this whole thing for Delenn, well, it's a two-part question. Was it about Delenn or was it about Sheridan?
Yes.
And more so, I think it was about Sheridan. But yes, I think it was about both. But here's the other question. Was this a testing or was this a teaching? This whole experience that they went through.
Okay.
Was it a testing on the part of Kosh? Or was it a teaching to get them to understand something about themselves that they're going to need going forward? And for whatever reason, this was the only way that it could happen.
What immediately comes to mind? What was the episode where Kosh sent Sheridan into the hot box? What was that one? I forget what it was. But he goes in. They did the Gregorian chant.
Was that All Alone in the Night?
No, because that's when they got abducted.
Okay, yeah, it was one of them.
It was one after that. But he goes
the hot
in,
box, right?
The hot box one, where he took off his stat bar and symbolically gave up command. So the lesson, like I said there, he was teaching him that there's going to be a time you're going to have to give this up in order to move to the next level. This lines up with that, where this isn't going to come down to some, like, there's going to be a huge, massive clash of millions of people and all this stuff, but it's literally going to come down to you sacrificing yourself for one person. And this was the dry run of that. When the chips are down, when it happens, will you do it? So it was a test to see if they were capable of making that happen, and then a teaching that won't ring until that moment. Even those things like the moment's there, and then the flashback will come with Sebastian saying the things like, "This is my time." He'll rip off the stat bar and he'll dive in, to go sacrifice himself for the one. I like that theory a lot. It tracks. It makes a lot of sense.
I'm just going to go down the path, and I'm going to live in the assumption that this is a teaching. And I think it honestly might have been more about Sheridan than it has been about Delenn. Although I think she's a part of it. And
I'd say the impression I got from Babylon Squared, I don't know if Sheridan's slipping in for Sinclair or how it works, but there's a unit between a human and Delenn that matters.
Yeah. And I like all that stuff at the beginning. Who are you? Get the pain bracelets, which, by the way, of all the ways that they've chosen to give people pain on this show, this is the best way so far.
Right?
The pain box, or the pain giver, or the eyes just going pain and like, of all the ways to give pain, this has been the best one so far. But all of that, even allowing Lanier to come in, all of that was designed to get Sheridan down there. And then to be able to put Sheridan through all of this to where they both were going to sacrifice each other for the other. Right? And in probably one of the most non-Star Trek-y moments, this is not the needs of the many outweighing the needs of the one or the few. This is the needs of the one just being the needs of the one. And Delenn says that, whether it's, but it's also so Star Trek, and I'm sure we'll get into this in just a second, to say whether it's one life or a million, it's the same. Like, there's such a respect for life, which is so Star Trek, but literally a big thing about Star Trek is sacrificing yourself for the greater good for everybody else. Right. So they both kind of find face, but I think at the end, this was getting them both to that spot. I don't think this was a testing at all, except for maybe possibly in and of themselves. Yeah. But that testing is the teaching that you got. This is now who you are. Like, I love that question. And I wrote this note down and I love it. I'm going to save this for the end. Okay. I'm going to save this part for the end. Remind me if I don't talk about the note that I wrote down.
Okay. Well, I love what you said here, though, because, like, as I read it, and I even said that all this did was solve a problem that we don't have Tell us they're the one. Cool. They're the one.
Right.
I mean, they did that in Babylon Squared. And our question wasn't, why are they the one? Are they really the one? The question was, which one is the one?
Right.
So, but the layers you've added makes this episode matter. Now this means something. Whereas before it was just like, wow, okay, so there's a Narn cell resistance and a weird guy that they picked up that they, for whatever reason, decided to say was Jack the Ripper. Okay, cool. Well, are we there, you think?
Yeah, I will. Can I? It feels like we're skipping this part, and this should be like at the top of the conversation. I do want to say, I found the directing and the editing in this episode really wonderful. The slow, deliberate pacing, those agonizing moments in the elevator with Veer and Jakar, that slow walk entrance of Sebastian, walking through the dark with the cane and popping the cane as he goes down, and you see the top hat and everything's in silhouette. It was so cool just to watch.
Did you have a guess
pacing.
when Sebastian was walking in? Did you have a guess like, oh, it's gonna be? Did you think it would be somebody?
No. I kind of saw the outline and I was like, I think I literally said, "Is this an old English dude?" Like,
yes,
because I saw the top hat. Turns out, yeah, that's exactly what it was. That was that's that thing that was like just in the back of my head. I don't even know that I said it. I was just like,
They had the sound, right? And with the sound, clearly there was a cane, and that was a slick looking cane.
right.
And then they showed the shoes, and then they kind of backed and they came. It was a little bit until you actually saw the suit and the top hat and silhouette. But I was watching it going, oh, it's Bester. They're bringing in Bester. Oh no, they're bringing in Doctor Who instead. Okay. That's cool. And then they're like, no, it's not that. It's Jack. But I agree. And the directing as well. Duet is a great example. Another one, and I'll buzz myself here, but is Waltz, where it's literally Sisko and Ducat in a poorly lit cave for 38 out of 43 minutes. Yeah. And depending on what you think on those actors, like it's either great or eh. So, someone actually I remember said, because I released that one for Starfleet Leadership Academy, I don't know, 5-6 months ago. And somebody was like,
it was a good episode though, too. People need to go listen to it.
It was an important episode.
Go back.
It's actually one of my favorite ones, just really quick, I'll just say, because I got to address just culture in that one, which is a cool concept that a lot of people aren't familiar with, and I love it. Either way, somebody said this great line where they said, this is simultaneously one of the greatest acting achievements for Avery Brooks and Mark Alaimo together, and the cringiest moments as well. And I was like, okay.
Was that me? Because I feel like I have said stuff like that before.
You probably said that, but no, it was someone else who interacts pretty regular. Okay. Yeah. But when I read it, I'm like, that's how Brent, at best, I know that's how Brent feels about this one.
It's true. That one's not necessarily a fan favorite episode.
No,
universally accepted.
I really like it. And I think what makes it work for me is there's relationship and there's character, not only between Sisko and Ducat, but the director is Rene Auberjonois, who played Odo.
Right.
So there's a real relationship that made everything unlock and work. In this episode, you had Mira Furlan, a director, I don't remember who directed this, but it was not someone that it popped out at me, and guest star guy who showed up.
Talking.
And they nailed it.
Yeah.
Like it was tense. Yeah. It built in the moment. Like for me, when it clicked was when they got in each other's faces and started yelling back and forth. And I've always felt in TV shows, Buffy the Vampire Slayer was one I always felt bad, where every episode has like this big bad person that shows up and they have to be able to stand up to the whole Scooby gang and go with them, have the chops to do it. Like they've been here all along.
Right.
Not all of them are able to accomplish that. This dude did, and he did it opposite Delenn, who's a character that is beloved. People have, in my opinion, someone that JMS thinks is the alien of the show. Like I think if he had to say who's the person here that alien-wise Babylon 5 is hanging, Delenn, and then Jakar and Londo. They're all great, but I think Delenn is his. It was fantastic, super well done.
I think we're there, Jeff.
We are there. Brent, we have reached that part of the show right now where we boil this all down. We see if it has any of that Star Trek-y quality to it, maybe like a deep moral message. Maybe it's holding up a mirror to society or giving us hope that we might be better in the future. We're going to do this by me rating this on a scale of 0 to 5 deltas as to how Star Trek this episode is. And Brent, you're going to rate this episode on a scale of 0 to 5 Star Furies as to how much we enjoyed this episode and just how Babylon 5 this episode is. And I'm going to go ahead and go first. And I think we've talked about a lot of this already, a lot of the Star Trek qualities. So I'm going to pick out one really specific part. And it's one that I love talking about anyway. We've talked about the concept of be, do, have oftentimes on this podcast. It's one of my favorite things. That was the point of the question, right? Who are you? Mm-hmm. Like, what's your be, in that equation? But there's a counterpoint to that wasn't brought up in this episode, but if you've been watching Babylon 5, you can't help but think it. You have the shadows and you have Morden who ask, what do you want? Which is, the have of the equation. So the Vorlon questioning, what they're trying to do is unlock your real potential through the be, do, have paradigm, which is be who you are so that you can do things and then have what it is you're trying to achieve. And if you want something to achieve or have something better, boop, 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 you roll back, you change you, improve you so you can do something different and better and then have the things you want. Where with the shadows, they are have, do, be. If I have a thing, then I can do a thing and I'll be a thing. Londo is the example of that. If I have this power, if I have all this acclaim, then I can do all the cool stuff and then I can be someone that matters to the Centauri. The problem with those things is that the have, do, be model relies on external factors you have no control over, right? Like one of the examples I like to give is just like, oh man, if I can have that really cool mic, right? Like, oh, if I can have a new thing, I'll be a good podcaster. Then I can be a good and then I'll have so many listeners, and I'll be able to be. No, that's not how it works. You have to get better yourself. You have to improve as a podcaster. And then you can use some like corny little thing like this that plugs into your iPhone and it will
doesn't
still
matter what you're using.
It'll still sound fine because you're good.
Yeah. That's a fantastic example, Jeff. That's a fantastic object lesson to illustrate that.
Because I think you and I both met these people. If I just buy this, I'll be fine. Or here's another one. Oh, if the Republicans just get control, if the Democrats no, the same wind blows on all of us. Yeah. The only thing that matters is how we set our sail against that wind. That's a Jim Rohn quote. I can't own that, but it's still a good one. But the thing that was huge to me here and manifested itself when Sebastian said you are the right people at the right time in the right place, because they are able to change themselves and make decisions for themselves to affect other people. Delenn, I will sacrifice myself for him without question, without hesitation, without fame, because she leans on a be, do, have. And so that question was important through this whole thing, even though it was set up as a way to just kind of get the ball rolling and set up that big test at the end. It was huge. And I think this was even infused in and through the entire episode. When we think about G'Kar, we have to have these weapons so we can stand up and we can be victorious. But then he's challenged and he rolls back to, he's like, no, I have to be a good leader. And I have to use the resources at my disposal so that I can get these people the things they need, the connections they want, so then we can have freedom someday. G'Kar even goes through this. But G'Kar, even to add on to everything, has that whole message of like, evil is evil. And whether evil is happening to you or not, you got to stand up against it, because eventually evil comes for everybody. I feel like we've spent this whole episode talking about a lot of the Star Trek equality, so I won't repeat any more than what I just repeated. I'm giving this one 4.5 deltas. This was a very, very Star Trek message.
Wow. For a guy who didn't like this episode, wow.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm
you
not
found a
doing
lot out of it.
not doing Star Furies. So
Yeah. Yeah. Well, fortunately for this episode, I am doing Star Furies. Hey, Jeff, you remember earlier where I said I'm going to save that note for later?
Yeah, you remembered to bring it up.
Yeah. You literally just read it.
Oh, well, look at that.
It's exactly what I said. It is an interesting juxtaposition between the shadows send Morden and ask, what do you want? So that they can use you. They can use you. They're using Londo. That's what they're doing, right? And they're saying, what do you want? The Vorlons send the Inquisitor and ask, who are you? So that you can be of use to others. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's a cool juxtaposition that sets these two pieces off side by side. I want to drill down though on the words that Delenn used in this episode. This is my cause. Whether it's one life or a billion, it's all the same. It's all the same. Sometimes the only way we can talk about whether or not it's Babylon 5 is in terms of what Star Trek would have done.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
If this was Star Trek, they would have nailed down not only on being all about life. Like I find that a very Star Trek thing. Like just a great respect for life. They also would have condemned the torture that took place in this episode. Right?
Yeah.
Whereas this episode and what Babylon 5 did was it embraced the torture. It used the torture as a means to drive Delenn and Sheridan, even though you didn't know that it was Sheridan at the very beginning, because he's sending the Inquisitor for Delenn, but actually it was for both of them. He used the torture to drive them, to get them to the spot where they understood themselves better, where they're now ready to take on this thing that is coming. It's helping them set their identity. You know, and to the point of what you're talking about of that be, do, have. Is that it?
That's it. Yeah.
And I know I've talked about this a few times, and I just form it in terms of identity. You've got to know who you are, which is not your name. It's not your job title. It's not what you can do. It's your identity. Who are you? Who are you at your core? And when you know who that is, all this other stuff doesn't matter. When you can act from that place of being sure of who you are, you know, and the greatest example I'll give that is close to my own personal life. Okay. I don't want to speak to other people's experiences. I can only speak to my experience. Almost 10 years ago, actually about 10 years ago, like right now, my wife and I were having a conversation. My kid was about to turn 1 year old, and we had a business together. We were in the process of winding that business down and shutting down that business. And we were trying to figure some stuff out. And we said, in a conversation, we said, if somebody's going to screw our kid up, we would rather it be one of us and not someone else. Fortunately, we were in a position where we both didn't have to work to bring in an income. And we made the decision together, because she told me we did it together.
Yeah, that's how it works.
That I would become a stay-at-home dad. Okay. Now, I do believe that people generally have a wiring. All right. And I think men this is a very broad generalized thing. Okay. I just understand that. For men, there's just this sort of innate desire to go out, to leave the cave and kill something and drag it home. You know, it's that primal, you know, comes from, men, we don't necessarily have that nurture side that mothers do, that mothers just seem to have, right? That's not to say we can't have it. That's not to say it's not there. It's just different, you know? And for a long time, I struggled not being somebody bringing in an income to the family. No, we were fine. We really were. Like, we were okay. I struggled with, am I wasting my life?
Wow.
I struggled with, what am I really? I'm a diaper changer. Ugh. What difference am I making? What impact am I making in the world? Oh, well, you're raising your kid and there's nothing better you can do. And yeah, they might be right, but I could be making more of an impact than changing a diaper. Like, come on. You know what I mean? And it took me a while, but I really had to come back to knowing who I am. What value do I bring to my family just in my presence, not in my paycheck, not in the glory that I can bring to my house, just by being me, just by my presence. You know what I mean? And when I was able to begin to operate from a place of who I am, not what I do, it changed everything for me. And I was able to embrace the role and settle in and love it and begin to do things I've never thought I'd be able to do before, you know? Well, I'm not going to sit back and tell you that I'm nailing this whole dad thing. You know, I certainly make my mistakes. Like, this has been a journey of a lifetime, and I've got about like 8 more years left in this gig before I get to go do something else.
Sure, just 8. Yeah, because that's how it works, right? 18.
Well,
yeah,
I'm over halfway. So it's there's a reason why we're like, hey, we're done with the second one, because I don't want to extend this contract anymore.
Right.
But to get to that place through the excruciating torture of somebody like Jack the Ripper. Now, I agree with you. That little add-on that he was Jack the Ripper, like, that was almost corny. I'm going to take out the word almost. That was just corny. It didn't matter who he was. I
think it did. Like, it's what it said was, what we see as horrible and evil and bad, the Vorlons can see some value in. Great. Okay, cool. Yeah. Also, you could have just had his actions say that. It was so corny and unnecessary. I don't need mad about that, but
I don't need a redemption story for Jack the Ripper.
No,
I don't need a penance for Jack the Ripper. And now he can go on and die. And like, I don't need any of that. Like, it just could have been what it was. There's a very long-winded way of saying, to get to this message that Babylon 5 is delivering, which I find a very Star Trek message, and you pointed this out at 4.5, it did it in such a Babylon 5 way that is completely opposite from the way that Star Trek would have done it. I think I'm talking myself into liking this episode more and more, and I would be shocked, Jeff, if we find out that this is not a well-liked episode within the fandom. I would be utterly shocked, because my guess is it is. And the more we talk about it, the more we've gotten into it just in this episode, the more I'm appreciating this episode. And so I'm going to give this one 5 Star Furies.
Holy what?
Yeah. No. Now keep in mind why I'm saying it, because this is such a Babylon 5 way of doing it. That it's a Babylon 5 way of doing it. I'm going 5 Star Furies because it did it in such a way that Star Trek never would have thought to do.
Agreed. And I think our conversation definitely did move the needle for me, especially your thought of this not just being a test, but a teaching as well. That's an entirely new context that adds a lot to this one. Still, I don't think there's I will watch Believers before I watch this episode again. I would watch, I'm going to say it.
Don't do
it. I would watch, I'm going to do it. I would
Don't
watch Soul Hunter before I watch this episode again.
You're out of your mind. I think you're going to come back and appreciate this episode a lot more, Jeff.
I might. And if I do, awesome. But if I don't, then I'll get to stand on this Soul Hunter comment and feel like a champ. But
you guys can send all of your emails to Jeff at Babylon 5 first.
Right. Well, I am fascinated though, Brent, to find out where you would want to watch this one again, because right now we are putting together the definitive ranking of season 2 episodes. Right now, our top 5, and I guess we're just based on what you said, we're gonna have to go through the top 5. Number 1, The Long Twilight Struggle. Number 2, The Coming of Shadows. Number 3, A Race Through Dark Places. Number 4, In the Shadow of Zahadum. And number 5, All Alone in the Night. Brent, where do you put Comes the Inquisitor?
Okay. Well, I thought this was a very Babylon 5 episode. I still can't say that I thoroughly enjoyed this episode. Here's a question for you, Jeff. No,
I feel better about working with you now.
Here's a question for you. If you could reinsert this episode anywhere in the season, does it have to fit right here as a penultimate episode between these two? What we're assuming next week with the finale and what that's going to be, and last week's. Could this episode have come before last week's?
You have to swap.
Or does it have to come right here?
The Jakar storyline means it has to be here.
But take that part out, because this story is about Delenn and Sheridan. So yeah, that story, could we have set that how far back could we have actually put this in this season?
I think, and I'm actually going to look at our little list here,
because I'm not entirely sure that you can't.
You can put it much earlier.
Yeah.
Boom. Season 2. I would probably, if I were able to, I would have put this one maybe right after In the Shadow of Zahadum. In the Shadow of Zahadum comes the Inquisitor, Knives, Confessions and Lamentations. Because in the Shadow of Zahadum, that's where we learned all the Kosh, Vorlon, first one stuff. Without that context, him saying we're gonna come send an Inquisitor is kind of like, who the heck are you, dude?
Because I mean that was when Sheridan and Kosh were like, hey, let's start to get to know each other and spend more time together, right?
Yeah, and Kosh he gave it away. This is who we are.
Yeah,
this is what happened. So I think this could have happened right after In the Shadow of Zahadum.
Yeah, and anytime after the Hotbox episode, I think this particular thing could have happened. So it didn't have to happen right here. And I would venture to say that if it had happened before last week's episode, you might be a little higher on it. Just trying to put some objectivity.
Yeah, because it's the Kraft American cheese in my beautiful sourdough sandwich. It still is, even after our discussion.
Right.
Yeah.
So that being said, where do I want to watch this one?
Where do you want to watch it? Where does it rank?
Would I watch
There's
it?
more to the ranking than just what we'd want to watch.
Right.
I'll just point out we do have an empty slot down at number 20.
Yeah, it's not going there. Sorry.
Okay.
It's not going to. In fact, I would venture to say that where we slot this one in, all the other ones can just go in and fill up into that empty slot, because my guess is next week is going to find itself rather high on the list. So
it had better.
Yes.
It's the season finale.
I think I am going to place this episode between this could go up or down one or two spots either way for me. Okay. So I'm going to drop this right in the middle. I'm going to place this one in at number 13 between A Spider in the Web and Geometry of Shadows. And so for those of you out there looking as Jeff updates our list over there, it's The Long Twilight Struggle at number 1, going down The Coming of Shadows, A Race Through Dark Places, and The Shadow of Zahadum, and All Alone in the Night are 1s through 5. We have Divided Loyalties, Confessions and Lamentations, Hunter Prey, Knives, and Soulmates at 5 through 10. And then we're going to have Points of Departure, A Spider in the Web, Comes the Inquisitor, Geometry of Shadows, and Gropos as 11 through 15, and then all the other ones.
This is the only, I'll just ask you this one question. I can't, like your ranking is final, but Geometry of Shadows is Technomages.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just wanted to confirm
which was the only good part about that episode.
But it was such a good part.
It was so cool. I want more Technomages. I really want more Technomages, but that was the only good part of that episode, really.
We'll find out. Well, that is it then for Comes the Inquisitor. Next week, Brent, we're watching the season 2 finale. Season 2 finale. It's a big deal.
Crazy.
It's a really big deal.
Yeah.
It's called The Fall of Night.
Ooh.
All we know 2 things about this episode. We know it's called The Fall of Night, and we know it's the season 2 finale. I guess we know 3 things. We also know it was renewed for a 3rd season, so we know that there's one that comes after this. But just knowing those 3 things, Brent, this is the game that we love to play at the end of each episode.
Yeah.
What do you think The Fall of Night is going to be about?
Well, I mean, I'm going to take the easy way out on this one. This is where the Great War has to start. Like, we had the Narn Centauri War. That's over. And we've been saying we don't think that the Narn Centauri thing is the Great War. It's the preamble to the Great War, right? So the Great War has to start, and the shadows have to come out of hiding. Now, that actually works for me because, you know the only place that shadows can actually exist, Jeff?
Where's that?
In the light. You can't have shadows in dark.
That's right.
Shadows can only exist in the light. So when night falls, right? Night is literally one big shadow. Right? Like, that's all nighttime really is. It's just a big shadow.
It's the sun being blocked, and we're in the shadow of the sun.
Exactly. Or a shadow of the earth.
Or the moon,
anyway.
Or something. I'm not an astronomer. I don't know.
Sure. So to me, this one is the Great War starting. The shadows are coming out of hiding, and they're full force, like right in front of us. That and the fact that, it's a season finale. They've told us the entire season that this is the year that the Great War comes upon us, and it's going to be New Year's Eve here in this last episode, so we better get to it.
I'm not too far off from you. A little bit, though. So I think that the Great War is going to start, but the Great War is going to start as an extension of the Centauri just aggression that, Jakar was talking about when he was Street Preacher guy. And that is going to end up somehow pulling both Earth and Minbari in. I think that Londo's going to get a little overzealous with getting the shadows going places. They're going to take out like a Minbari cruiser, something like that pulls the Minbari in. That'll lead Delenn to petition, and then Earth will come in on the side of Minbar, which will be a big deal. And I think the shadow reveal is literally the last scene of the episode.
Like as it goes out. Yeah.
Like almost like Captain Jump Gates activating. Oh, this is a big one. Whoosh, and the shadow comes through, and
it's not going to end with. It's not going to end on a freeze frame of his face going. It's not going to be that one.
I don't think so. I don't think it's going to be that one. And then I think season 3 is the war.
I like that. I think that's how it's going to go.
We'll find out, and we'll find out about that next week. But after next week, Brent, we're only going to have a handful of these special episodes. 5 of them, I guess. That's all we're going to have. A season wrap up. Our season 2 wrap up. 2 weeks. 2 weeks from now.
That's crazy.
What are we doing in that wrap up? It's going to be super awesome. Outside of like talking about our rankings and things that we like. I was going to say,
we're going to revisit our entire ranking one more time and decide if we need to move anything up or down. And Jeff might have a few he might have a few more things to say about this particular episode.
Right. Let's talk about this Inquisitor thing just a little bit.
Let's see. We're going to do that. We're going to talk about favorite characters. Maybe, I don't know. We haven't really actually talked about what all we're going to talk about
at all. Yeah.
We'll probably revisit the up and down nature of this episode. But the one cool thing we're really going to do is we're going to give away this awesome Captain Sheridan action figure, which can be yours, folks. If you just email us in a screenshot or tweet at us, DM us, whatever, smoke signal us. I don't care. However you can get it to us. Let us know that you sent in a review and you're entered in to get this super awesome, dope thing that I can't put back on my wall right now.
That's an action figure is what that is.
Yes.
I was going to say, if they can send a smoke signal, they win, period. If they can get the review to us but then I thought, the last thing we need is people burning things down in the world right now. So don't send a smoke signal. There's enough burning around us right now. Hey, listen, thank you everyone for joining us. mean so much to us, and we love being able to talk about Babylon 5 with each other and share that conversation with you. If you haven't already, please subscribe wherever you're listening or watching. And if you haven't, just because Brent told you to a minute ago, head to Apple Podcasts, leave us a review, screenshot that bad boy, babylon5first@gmail.com, the number 5, the word first, at Babylon First on Twitter. Send us a screenshot of that review, and you'll be put in that drawing for that awesome John Sheridan. Well, Brent, until next time.
Hey, Jeff.
Yeah, Brent.
Who are you?
Yeah, I am not doing this. I've gone through enough just having to watch and then talk about this episode again. Peace and long life.
It's my first time.
I might keep that outro. I just love that outro. Dun, 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 dun,
I don't mind the outro. I mean, we had planned to redo the beginning each season as well. And if you're in the middle of that and you're wanting to do that, that's fine. I think the outro is fine to keep.
Yeah, that's good. I like it.
Yeah.
I started on the intro, and what I will say is tonally, the third season theme is a lot different.
Is it slow? Is it like, do you remember when Mission Log went from Next Generation to Deep Space Nine and it was so jarring?
Uh-huh.
And Deep Space Nine never felt right. Like for their entire 7-season run of doing Deep Space Nine with that intro music for Mission Log, it's like, you guys need to do intro music. This is horrible. Shout out to our friends Norman and John. What's up, guys? Your music choice there was not good.
I don't think it was their
love
choice,
you guys,
but still,
heart love you guys.
Also, I love just the effort, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot that goes into making podcast theme music.
Really
but
is.
no, for this one, for the theme music for season 3, it's tonally very different. It is slower. It's heavier. It's basically almost like let's take a minor key, I'll say late 80s, early 90s power metal kind of a song.
Yeah.
But then play it on synthesizers.
I can't wait to hear. I've not heard it yet, folks. I have no idea what Jeff's talking about. I have no idea.
Yeah, I dig it. It's a little harder to cut because there's some hits, like there's some stuff in it. And so it's a little harder to cut together, but we'll have it. It'll be cool. I'm excited.
So Jeff, just a couple of notes that we can do right here while we're here, because Club 65 is awesome. You guys are cool.
Right.
And I just want to acknowledge this. I did notice several times that my signal dropped out quite a bit.
Oh, really?
Did you notice me going fuzzy at all?
Not at all. Not even a little bit.
Okay. So I know we don't edit this video, but it looked bad on my side.
Okay.
I mean, it physically looked okay, but like I got the warning, like, hey, bad stuff's happening right now. I want us to check this video because the new way they're doing it is local recording and uploading. Because you've been a little bit fuzzy for me all day today.
Okay.
Which I don't know if that's just a matter of your camera or if that's been the connection. So just something to check on. But I do want to say, if this video goes out and it's too much work, because we've often said we're not going to edit this video and spend that much time with this, which is how we get these out. That's not us being lazy. This is just the mechanism we have to use to be able to even do this show. So for you guys, if we didn't go in and replace that and Brent's all fuzzy throughout the course of the episode, sorry. It's the internet, folks. It's not my fault.
Yeah, I usually, because I run the video through Descript. It's how we get our really poorly done transcript and subtitles that go on for it, and then I bring it down. But I spot check the video on there, so I'll just do a little more of a check on it. In worst case, we can slap up a little watermark or something that just says, hey, sorry, or something Babylon 5-ish.
If it's absolutely worst case scenario, but overall, I think we'll be okay. All right. Anyway, so for all that technical stuff that you guys are like, this is boring. Club 65, you guys rock, and Jeff and I are going to get out of here.
We are. We'll see you next week for the finale. Going to be
Peace
cool.
out, Boy Scout.